What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Suzanne Vega, and we're going to jump ahead in time a bit because we're going to listen to the sequel song to Gypsy. Indeed, I reacted to Gypsy from Solitude Standing 1987, and I was aware even then it was the first part of a two-song series about the same subject, the same historical figure in Suzanne's life. I remember a number of people commented on this. I think Darren had a great comment giving some detail. And yes, ultimately this is called In Liverpool because I believe the guy who had a brief, if passionate, affair with Suzanne and then left her life was originally from Liverpool. And I believe later on he discovered that these songs had been written about him. Luca, let's not do that. Let's come up here, shall we? This Gypsy right here. And yes, ultimately I'm aware of the context of the song, but I wonder how a later tune reflecting on the relationship, the affair, might come across. I'm not particularly aware of the time frame of this second song in the series, so I don't, in terms of when it's referring to, but as I said, I believe it's 5 years after Gypsy in terms of the chronology of her material. Enough setup, you all surely know this better than I do. Let's listen. This is Suzanne Vega. The track is In Liverpool, and it's from her 1992 album, 99 Fahrenheit Degrees.
In Liverpool on Sunday, no traffic on the avenue. The light is pale and thin, like you. No sound down in this part of town, except for the boy in the belfry. He's crazy, he's throwing himself down from the top of the tower, like a hunchback in heaven. He's ringing the bells in the church for the last half an hour, and he sounds like he's missing something or someone that he knows he can't have now. And if he isn't, I certainly am homesick for a clock that told the same time. Sometimes you made no sense to me. If you lie on the ground in somebody's arms, you'll probably swallow some of their history. And the boy in the belfry, he's crazy, he's throwing himself down from the top of the tower, like a hunchback in heaven. He's ringing the bells in the church for the last half an hour. He sounds like he's missing something or someone that he knows he can't have now. And if he isn't, I certainly am. I'll be the girl who sings for my supper. You'll be the monk whose forehead is high. You'll be the man who's already working, spreading a memory all through the sky. In Liverpool on Sunday, no reason to even remember you now, except for the
keyboard line had me wondering, like, wait, is that an accordion? I think it's just a regular keyboard, but it had that accordion quality to the chords. Also, I believe there was like a proper organ in there, also a very lightly played piano, including what sounded like keys that haven't been tuned. It sounded like she was hitting like dead keys at the same time to like keep a rhythm. But whatever the case of the sonic arrangement or the instrumental arrangement, a really powerful song, though I'm not quite sure how to take a lot of the lines. And certainly we get a bit of a Hunchback from Notre Dame reference, but like a Hunchback from Heaven, like ringing the bell, a boy throwing himself from the belfry to the ground below, and perhaps because they're thinking of someone that they can't have anymore, and then she's saying that like, if he's not doing that, I certainly am. But then also talking about seemingly their prior connection in the way like, I never understood you sometimes, so maybe she's trying to put the pieces together even years later, still feeling a longing, but also suggesting that maybe the guy was feeling the longing, or feeling an absence, a hole in his life because they weren't together anymore. And then what was the line about like having to rush home to the clock that's in the same time zone? So again, assuming that all of the UK is in the same time zone, I wondered like, if she was in London when they were together, he was from Liverpool, but he had to leave her life. He had to go home. He had to, rush back, even though it wasn't that far away. It's not in that different of a place, meaning like he just didn't want to stay with her. So it sounds like there's some hurt in a couple of the lines, but also still a tenderness, but ultimately more than anything a desire to understand and to find reference points or expressions that characterize this chronological and emotional journey between two people, which ended in separation physically, geographically, and emotionally. So yeah, I enjoy the vulnerability and emotional honesty of the tune. Again, that turnaround line of like, well, if he's not, I certainly am, that feels very open and vulnerable in the way that she seems to be suggesting, unless I'm reading it incorrectly, that the emotion she's maybe projecting onto him, she's feeling herself, and therefore it might be actually still a point of connection between them despite their separation. Ultimately, a beautiful vocal performance, not maybe the most notable from her I've yet heard, but ultimately one that I think fits the tenor of the song emotionally and personally in terms of her reflection and consideration of the events that have transpired in her life up until that point. So I think it's great. It's an interesting follow-up in terms of not having a full sense of the sonic progression from the rest of Solitude Standing, and then I don't know if this is the very next album or maybe there's an album in between these two, but jumping ahead in time for the narrative and emotional connection fits very nicely, though I don't know whether this is indicative of a slight shift in her sonic pursuits or genre exploration. It doesn't feel terribly different from what I've heard before, but ultimately it does feel slightly distinct from the tracks I've heard up until this point. I'll stop babbling. Let me know what you think about the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.